Okay, friends, I hope you're ready for another exciting math video with Mrs. Bridges. Today we're talking fractions. And fractions can make people a little bit nervous, but I assure you that they're not scary. We're going to take it slow, and I'm going to kind of explain to you a refresher on some things that you would have learned in previous grades. And then we can talk about a little bit more grade 5 worthy things that we're going to start doing as well. Okay, so fractions can look very different. Usually we draw them out to begin with, and it helps us kind of understand what we're talking about. So let me go ahead and color this thing in. Now, let's do a quick vocabulary check. We have things called numerators and denominators. And those are just fancy ways about saying the number on the top, the number on the bottom. Now, they're very important in the fact that when we build our fraction using numbers, we have to know which number goes where. So a numerator is the number above the bar, and it's what is going to tell you how many equal parts we're discussing. Okay, so let's look at number 1 here. Out of the 4 squares, I've colored 1 square in, and the numerator is going to be the number that we're talking about. So 1 of those squares is colored in out of the denominator, which is the total number of equal parts in the whole. So this is the whole thing we're talking about. How many pieces are there altogether? Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces altogether. I've colored in 1 out of those 4 pieces altogether. When we're working with fractions in the beginning, that numerator is always going to be smaller than the denominator. It will run into instances where it's not, but for right now, you want to make sure that the numerator is larger than the denominator. I'm going to go ahead and color this in right now too. So remember that line was there. So how many pieces did we start with originally? How many parts were in the whole? There were 4 equal pieces in this to begin with, and I colored in 2 of them. Okay, so I colored in 2 out of the 4 pieces. Now, some of you might instantly think, hey, you colored in half of it. I can easily see that that's half, and you'd be absolutely correct. Even though it says 2/4, we can change that to make it the lowest common, to make it the lowest fraction. Now, we'll get into that a little bit later, but 2/4 is exactly the same as saying 1/2. So this is just the lowest version of that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to color in a few of these so we can always see how many we had left. I'm going to do that. So in order to find out what fraction is colored in, how many did I color in? Well, I colored in 3. How many were there altogether? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. There were 10 altogether. Okay, so I colored 3/10 of that fraction. So 3/10 of that fraction is colored in. 1/2 or 2/4 or 2/4 is colored in, and 1/4 or 1/4 of that is covered in. Whenever we have a fraction with a 4 on the bottom, we put that into quarters. We can say quarter, or you can say fourths. It's really the same at this point. So I just want to remind you that the numerator is always on the top, and it talks about what fraction has been colored in, and the denominator is on the bottom, and it talks about the total number of equal pieces. So not as an exciting video for today, but it will help you down the road.